Ask you another question. I mean, you exude a wonderful vibe, and you took us through some of the early years when you say mums are always such loving people.
They're everything.
I know they are.
They are
and
everything.
I've had the privilege of seeing you interact with your mother. And how large a part has your family played in molding you to who you are today? The value and the joys of people around you that we call family.
I don't know, it's a confusing question. Because I perceptionally, socially, come from what is perceived a broken home. My parents were divorced when I was 5. I'll share a question I repeatedly asked. I would say, Mama, Papa, you love each other. Why don't you live together? And they would say, because sometimes 2 people can love each other, but it doesn't mean that they can live together. And we will always love you. You will always be our baby. We will always look out for you. And my father disappeared on me because he had his own life and his own journey, and he was seeking and discovering whatever he needed to. And I was living and growing up in a home that was not the home that I was raised in. And it didn't have my papa, but it had my mama, and it gave me a new Abba. Right. It was a Muslim home with a joint family. There were other cousins. There was a front yard, a courtyard, a backyard. There were trees, there were mango trees, there were chiku trees. I was flying kites, I was playing gully cricket with the boys, I was bicycling. Abba gave me every freedom. And I don't like to use the word gave because I think it was not innate to his nature to take anything away.
Right. Right.
And I never was raised thinking about what gender I belong to, but it was more like I am a human being. So I'll share 3 questions I asked. The first one I shared already.
Right.
Which was, why can't we live together if we love each other? And she said, because sometimes 2 people can love each other, but that doesn't mean they can live together. At the time.
Right.
And that's okay. They have to find their way. And they did. I lost my biological father when I was 9. And that news was broken to me beautifully by by Abba's best friend, Uncle Sunny Pillai, who was the chairman of VST. Very aware, very grounded, very beautiful man. And they always included me in their debates and their conversations. They never asked me to leave the room. So I grew up hearing, listening, absorbing, questioning. Uncle Sunny would ask, if Mahatma Gandhi believed in non-violence and peace, why did he carry a lathi? And I looked at him and said, because he was older then and he needed the support. So? Oh.
Right.
So we would have these oh moments and they would listen to me. I was treated as an individual even as a child. I was given the freedom to think, to question, to listen and see. And
I think that is critical. You just said something really pertinent about you were allowed to rationalize, you were allowed to make your decisions, you were allowed to think things through.
Oh yeah, and then we debated it. We debated it.
Sure.
We didn't accept
yeah.
Things never came easy. Yeah. We debated it. I went through my hormones, I went through my teenage years, I was irrational, but I would fight and they would fight back. And then Abba would look at me and say, let it go. So when I fought to go for the Miss India and my mother didn't want me to go, she wanted me to pursue my law. And she's like, you're just finishing college. You'll never complete your education. Are you crazy? There's no way you're joining the Femina Miss India. Beauty is what beauty does. And what do you think you are? You're beautiful. And I was like, yeah, I am. And I'll be okay because you have to trust what you've taught me.
I remember you clearly from back then. 2000?
Yes,
Asia Pac.
1999, November is when I came to Bombay. I was all of 17 and a half. 18 is when I turned 18 at the training program. Pradeep Guha supported
Yes.
me in Hyderabad. Satya Saran, Pradeep Guha, Hemant Trivedi, Noyanika Chatterjee. It was a different world then.
It certainly
It
was.
was a different world that was shaped, our experiences were shaped by very, very remarkable human beings who recognized beauty for what it was and for what it did. And it was a very powerful experience to come to Bombay because Abba said, let her go. She will figure out what she needs to. And he said another very powerful thing to me before I left. He said, I never played your father because I promised your father I would always be your friend.
Wow.
Yeah, that was Abba. That's where I get Mirza from. So my birth name on my passport and my birth certificate is D-I-A, Dia Handrish.
Andrish.
When I participated in the Femina Miss India, my passport was being made. I'd never traveled overseas before that. I never stepped out of the country. I'd actually never really gone out of Hyderabad either. And Abba brought the form. Just before that, I think I was learning to drive, and my driver's license was being made. So all of this kind of happened at the same time. This is 1999 November. I remember it so distinctly. Abba tells me, didn't play father because I wanted to be your friend. Let her go. And then he asks me to fill these forms for my passport and my driving license. And I was just filling in my name and I wrote Dia Mirza. And in my passport, for the passport forms, I wrote Dia Mirza Handrish because we were allowed 3 names. He cried, he wept that day. He really wept. And he said, thank you. And I said, no, thank you. Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
He was something else. And no. We shed our tears with abandon. We are not afraid and embarrassed by them at all.
That's beautiful.
They're beautiful.
That's beautiful.
And then I came to Bombay alone, unafraid, fearless, happy, positive, optimistic, energized by the strength and the belief that he gave me. Energized in strength by the belief my mother gave me in my childhood. She lost her way a little bit in between. She had become an alcoholic. And at this time, she was a full-blown alcoholic, and just to break my heart. But at the time, I felt like I was responsible. Because children feel that. Why can't I help?
Yeah.
Why can't I fix this problem? Because kids want to fix every problem.
Yeah, I've gone through some of that myself.
Yeah.
It was one of my life prompts as well, Dia. So I can completely feel
Yeah.
what you're saying, because I saw a bit of that happening with my father as well. And in fact, you asked me a question a little while ago about, indulgences, and that was the prompt, actually, exactly what you're saying.